Fortunately, I think he was a bit more advanced with me. Because of me, I come from an area where we talk, you'll see a page, you read, and then elders will take it and say, hey, don't carry this thing badly. Because during that time, the NC was banned in exile. We will get some very, in today's standards, badly typed, badly written document. That must, when you read it, piece in between what is actually the message being communicated to us as the community. So Katang had some of this documentation. He will bring them, say, go read this thing. We'll read it, and then you say we'll discuss it in the next day, or during lunchtime was have a conversation about what's your understanding of this thing.
Still in school?
Still in school, high school. Still in high school.
Monty, I ask you a question again. From my ears, I'm asking a question. Somebody's asking me something in my ears, and I'm repeating it to you. The person is asking, are you not a troubled child from your youthful age? Are you not?
I've never came from a very strict and disciplined family who practice Catholicism.
The Catholics?
Yes.
Disciplined, those people?
Yes.
Very disciplined.
Exactly. So I was there. As you can read in my book, because of I was brought up by my grandmother. She was very clear strict.
Wow.
She will tell you that you will travel from home to school. It will take you, let's say for argument's sake, 10 minutes. You travel back from school, it must take the same time. If you are delayed, understand that you might be playing around with your friends. So from going from home to school, I have to actually walk that time, that distance. So you will never be late from school and home. So you are going to, you'll be held accountable. Why are you 5 minutes late? So I was brought up in that type of a family.
You are disciplined, my brother.
Yes.
Right from the childhood age.
Yeah. So I listened to Kat, and then we started to talk. And now these things developing. Now we're getting exposed to now serious documents. We're now exposed to the Freedom Charter. Sometimes there's only one section of the Freedom Charter, one clause that people shall govern. We read there, we discuss it amongst ourselves. Now the group grows on. Now we start to know that, there's a student organization, we are recruited. He actually invited me first to...
How old was your friend Kata?
I think he's a year older than me.
Okay.
Yeah, I think he's older than me. We're in the same age group. We're in the same class. And then the first time that I went to a political meeting through him, he took me to a Naledi branch Soweto Youth Congress meeting. Because he says to me, we're going to have a discussion about the Freedom Charter. Just come in, just listen. For those days, of course, people will ask, who is this one? He's not from our community. But no, as an activist, he stays in many schools here, who are trying to socialize him and understand. That was the first
the connection.
And the discussions were very, very, very interesting. It was also interpreted.
If I may ask, just to interrupt you, was this meeting both the white and the blacks, or it was only the blacks, or it was just the white that were having, but you have the chance to be there? Let me clarify, let's our listeners get that. Was it something that was solely for the black community because they wanted to give you the freedom side of the version of whatever thing they've written, or it was a general gathering that everybody was welcome to go?
It was solely for the black community, Africans, because of geographically apparently structured so that it created Soweto as a dormitory to provide labor for people working in towns and mines. So it was mainly only us there by then. And it was us amongst ourselves, with those who were before us, who taught us about the issues of the struggle. So that was my first political consciousness. Besides reading these documents that we have, sometimes we'll hide them inside a textbook or a used biscuit wrapper.
To have the information.
Yes, hide the information, or a carton of milk that has been used, so that as you walk on the street.
That was how you were protecting your documents?
Yes.
Wow.
Because of this
are vital information.
Some of this were banned material by apartheid government. So for us to carry it in the walking on the street, moving from point A to point B, wherever that you're going. So you appear as if you're carrying a carton of milk. Even if police comes to you, you're just carrying milk, you're able to pass.
Wow.
So these were tricks, and I mean, we come from far about this thing, and these things are not being told to people.
I tell people that the TikTok that they are seeing and the YouTube and they see me, I knew it from 2002. We call it child greeting videos by World Vision International. I was working with an NGO, it's called World Vision International, but I was working with the Ghana branch. So we will ask the child, say your name, tell the child, tell the community this, that you were scripted. Yeah. So you were carrying a document that you needed to protect.
Yes.
Because once you are seen,
it's treason.
It's like you having a gun.
Yes, it's treason.
It's treason, yeah. Okay, let's continue.
So then I think around the same year, 1984, 1985, I think there's a group that did not write their metric. Not the whole year, not only metric, the entire grades. If I recall, and maybe metric, maybe it's an emphasis of high school achievement. I think it was in 1986.
Oh.
86, 85, 86. In that time, that's when the course of Southern student was banned in 1985.
Isn't that when there's a hunger strike?
No, hunger strike was in 89.
In South Africa?
Yes.
Okay, please continue. So, don't just confuse the listeners.
So the course of the student was formed in 1979 and it was banned in 1985. This organization, Course of the Students, it came after the 1976 uprising. And when it came during that time, it identified itself with the Freedom Charter. And by identifying itself with the Freedom Charter, it meant clearly that it sees and views the African National Congress as the leading liberation movement in the country. Of course, there was the Pan-Africanist Congress, which was also in exiles. There was Azanian People's Organization, which also was here, also banned somewhere in the 70s and the 80s. So the point I'm raising, COSAS, I want to demonstrate at this point that it's through this person-to-person conversation, peer-to-peer conversation in the classroom, in the desk, in the school, that made sure that for us to fight for our liberation, it's quite important that we have a proper organization that will lead and direct, even if the anger of the masses into the correct path. So COSAS produced the South African Youth Congress, which was led by the late P.A.B.S. So COSAS in 1983 took a conference resolution that says that because of students are in transit, will never be students forever. So therefore it's important for us to create a youth organization so that as you leave school, whether leave school by not going to school, as you leave school during the school hours or getting to your community, you must remain organized. Then we formed the youth organizations that culminated into the South African Youth Congress. We started small, Kainisha Youth Congress, Soweto Youth Congress, Alexander, Mohlake Youth Congress, all of them, they came together and formed the South African Youth Congress. The United Democratic Front, COSAS played a role for it to be established. An umbrella organization that bring all Democrats and progressive people that were fighting apartheid, your Black Sash, all organizations that were there. It also contributed to the formation of the Congress of South African Trade Unions. So I'm talking about the student organization.
Wow.
That demonstrated that it's important for us that every sector of the community must be organized.
Which were part doing that.
Which was part of that organization. Wow. So when it was banned, then we formed the Soweto Student Congress. As a reflection that says that there's no vacuum. Science does not allow vacuum. So as a consequence, students, young people, community, society must be organized. So when COSAS was formed, we took a conscious decision politically that COSAS is not replacing. SOSCO is not replacing COSAS. So of course it's a national organization. SOSCO is a Soweto only student-based organization. It didn't have a constitution.
It had a broader vision.
Yes. So
to make sure that the African child is liberated.
Exactly. Because of the first president of COSAS, P.A.B.S, was sentenced to Robben Island. He was actually served shared cells probably there with the known Rivonia trialists, Mandela, Sisulu and so forth. Same as the president of the South African Congress.
There is something that this book is changing my mind about a lot of things. haven't read a lot, but because of time, I will just let you go. What led you into the arrest? Or what led your group? If you can give us like 5 minutes straight, like what happened? What this group has been formed? The vision is not for only Sowetans, but for Africa and South Africa people in that are not looked at, that are deprived, that are not in the right situation of location. And you guys form this organization. Now, I think when you have formed the group, the way forward is to celebrate. Now, what happens with your arrest? What happened? Give us like 5 minutes of that, and everything inside, whatever just happened before you came out. Just give us a gist, because we want to know Monty.
I always say it was a normal school day. I left home, my grandmother's house, and went to school. Because of this organization taught us that education is important. If you're educated, nobody will take that from you. If you're knowledgeable, nobody will take that from you. So education was our apex project as well. That's why we're fighting for people's education, for people's power. We need an education that will empower our people to think critically, so that they don't accept things as they come. You know, must always question everything and get answers, and always ask what if. If you are solving something, what if?
Odwasifoli, thank you very much. That's my wife. Every time she is deciding for +1, she's thinking about -1. What if? Every time she's there. Yes. Thank you very much.
Because of it keeps you on your toes. So it was a normal school day. We went to school. So SOSCO used to meet on a Tuesday and Thursdays. So I was going to a meeting, basically. A meeting of the Student Congress. A branch meeting
a normal day.
of Motlan. Yes. Normal day. So I was going to that meeting. And we used to have different points, meeting points, so that we discuss, so that the security branches are unable to identify us quickly. So we had a point E, point B, and point C. At some point, we'll have a point D. So
what I used to know the problem, child. Because the question keeps on ringing in my ears. Like, we are going for a meeting, we are going to P.A.B.S radio. Why do you have to meet where and organize so that the information that gets to P.A.B.S radio is not the full information? I know still a problem, child, my brother. Continue on.
Look, experience has taught us that if you are in a group in a certain space, you normally draw attention. Even if till today. If there will be 10 of us standing outside in the corner, the community will be concerned. You're drawing attention. Why these guys are here? You pass, you come back, they're still here. You know? So that plan was to say that we must also work in small groups, 2-1, so that they cannot identify us. In the event we are unlucky, we got arrested, they must not take the entire group. At least they can take 1 or 2 or 4. So, but I was going to a meeting, and at that meeting point, we were waiting there. As I arrived there, okay, let me also explain it, just go a step back. I will be given a meeting point that says, we're going to fetch you at this area. Abdul will be given a different point. Or you might be given the same point, but I won't know that I will meet you there.
So you were friends, you were family, you were going for the same meeting, but you didn't know the
community at that point.
It makes
sense. So that area we were 4. We saw each other as we moved towards the point, and I think I met one lady, Omaki, that I walked with her because I knew that she was coming from my school. Then as we were walking, then we said, you know what, let's just hold hands as if me and you are boyfriend and girlfriend.
Like boyfriend, girlfriend.
Yeah. So that if Boas sees, they just say, these are just cookies.
These are cookies who are lying on the road.
And then we met Zandi Shabalala there and Mandla Ndlovu. So Mandla Ndlovu and Zandi Shabalala, they came from Naledi High School. Omaki came from Tabo High School. I came from Thomas Mofelo High School.
Okay.
So when we were there, we were waiting for instruction to move to a certain point. And as we were waiting there, there were mini buses. We actually picked a very busy point where it's a busy main road for mobility, transporting of people.
Easy access.
Yeah, exactly. Then there was this minibuses that went south direction. We just saw them. And then you saw one of them making a U-turn, a very high speed. And they come, I think 3 of them just pounced on us. And then the other one just blocked me so that I don't move. And then they opened the door. Then I ran.
But just like you are walking.
No,
they turn and then they.
Yes. There was somebody there in this police car who actually pinpointed some of us. This was a student from Thomas Mufo. I think he saw me and pinpointed me because I don't think we know Zandi because I was staying with Zandi. I work with Omaki, but when we were waiting,
you were waiting on Zandi.
I was waiting with Zandi, a lady from Naledi High.
Naledi is right, yes, you said it.
So then I ran. As I ran, Omaki, the other lady, also ran and hid in some house, which she changed quickly and dressed like a grandmother. And then Manda ran the other direction. He hid himself in some in some forest.
And he's left with Monty.
Pardon?
Now he's left with Monty. He's left with you. Agree?
No, we ran separate directions.
Okay.
Yes. I ran.
Find your way.
Yes. Because of we saw this, the only person who did not run was Sandy. And she survived the arrest. So why I know that Omaki was dressed in like a grandmother is when they brought her
out.
Yes.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Pan Africa Breakfast Show. We enjoying ourselves here. We getting the story from the man himself. Producer, director, please add 10 minutes to our time because it's getting hotter and hotter, and this man is still giving a story. Like he got to know their friend Zandili. It's not Magogo.
No, that's Omaki.
Omaki.
Yeah.
Oh, not the Zandili.
No, Zandili just stood there. Yeah. Zandili was not even arrested, but those of us that drove us who ran away, we arrested. She survived. Because of, you know, almost they're saying that it barks the one that moves.
Yeah, dog.
Yeah. So we ran. Then they followed us.
Yes, it's like
she stood there.
The police coming to you,
yes.
Or the police doing their search, or they stop the car by roadblock, and you just see the roadblock, and you just want to turn U-turn. They think something is fishing with you. Yeah, it's right.
Yeah. So they went for us. We were arrested. We were brought into that Kumbi, and when I think I was the first one to be put into the minibus. When I'm there, then I meet another friend, comrade, called him Muleleki.
Bunileki.
Moleleki.
Moleki.
Moleleki.
Moleledi.
Ki. Yeah. Yeah. His name is Colin.
The names?
Yeah, that's the same name, Muleleki. So I meet Colin in the Kumbi. And when I left school, it's a normal school day. I said to him, my brother, I'm going to a meeting. He said, no, I'm not going today. I'll see you tomorrow. I said, okay, it's fine, I'll brief you. We'll talk about plans, what we resolved. I'll see you tomorrow. And then I left. Whatever happened, he was the first, he was arrested somewhere in the Red Extension, just walking. Then the boy was picking up, but clearly there was this pinpointing person. And then he was picked up, then I met him in the car. I looked at him, we looked at each other, we glued our eyes to each other. And then this guy just said, he gave us a brace command. Face down! Pointing a gun to us, this white police person.
You haven't done anything?
We haven't done anything. So we did that, we kept quiet. You could hear a pin drops. As we were facing down, I saw Maki coming dressed like a Magogo. And then I saw Mandla, she was wearing some football t-shirt from the uniform, I don't know if you read it. And then we're in the same car and we're told that we must not talk. And then that's when we realized that
you are not safe.
We've been arrested. And on our way to Protea police station, we told we must not look outside. We must just face down. They drove us until we reached Protea police station.
Clarification, were this, even though it was out the apartheid government, were they these black subs people or police or white?
Those are
the one that arrested you. I want to be specific.
Those who arrested me are white people who were black people as well. Remember that to be white in a township, it was very conspicuous. You know, your race.
So somebody will bring
somebody who's the brothers and sisters. And those were the most problematic guys anyway. Some of them were driving this car, some of them were used as interpreters, which if we have time we'll get into that. During interrogation, they think that you don't understand English or Afrikaans. I mean, I will tell you, Soweto is one wonderful place, irrespective of its own challenges. Everybody there speaks all the 11th languages that we have.
Wow.
You might not write, I can't write Zulu, but I can speak Zulu. I can speak Xhosa. I can hear Tivenda. I can hear Ndebele. Yes.
South Africans.
Exactly.
Wow.
We have also Africans basically in our time, or was called a Kasital or a Tsotsital. So people, when they speak, they in between use Afrikaans lingues. That's how we learned Afrikaans, And remember that as Soweto was developing, there are people who also not built by forceful removals as well. Others came from other areas in the country to come and live there. We have people from the Northwest, Northern Cape, KZN, Mozambique, Malawi, everywhere. It was
a hub.
I'm telling you.
Like an incubation place for all Africans, South Africans, all the 11 languages were accepted and communicated in the same platform of the Sowetans, within the Sowetans.
Yes. We speak all these languages.
So it was when you realized that no, you are not supposed to talk, you are not supposed to look out, and that's when you realized that, yeah, guys, we are being arrested.
Yeah, no, it's tough. And when you are an activist during that period, you know that one, either you'll be arrested, two, either you go to exile, three, you will disappear. If you're lucky, you'll find your body, you'll be buried normally.
So you have this thing that you have to accept.
They were normal, yes. I mean, even if during our political conscientization, we speak about this thing, it's reality. Because I'll tell you, the very same guy that was my desk mate, to emphasize Katar Masimole, who was never arrested. But he said to me one day that, Sekhukhuni, in the event that you'll be arrested, I want to tell you one thing. Never give up. Don't show a sign of weakness.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Pan Africa Breakfast Show, and you are listening to Abdullah, your humble servant. You are listening to the sound, the real voice of M.Sekhukhuni, a writer, author of Selkaya. Like, I'm talking about the hunger strike that that changed the South African political landscape. We are asking production to give us extra 15 minutes. So before the extra minute, we are going to play you some song just to cool you down, because what we are hearing and what is going through our ears, we just need extra time. Please, director, help us just with 10 minutes. We respect the time, and we will just, please, I'm looking for something, but I'm not getting, but other than that, let's make every time that we get on this platform, make it count, because we are listening to the man who is giving us the reason why South Africa political landscape changed and why it changed. And from when did it change? He is giving you all the West. He's giving you the assurance. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm not getting it. So let me just play the jingle and let the man continue, because we wanted to play something just to cool yourself down. But Mr. Monty, continue. We are still with you in the back or in the combi, knowing that there is no way for you now. You have accepted. Either you are arrested, you go for the exile, your body is not found, or it is found dead. Now you have accepted.
Yeah, and the interesting thing that we individually, the four of us, noted when we arrived at the Protea police station. Although we're told that we must not enter at the same time, you were told, you come this way. Then you wait for about a minute or so. I think that was in the other direction. The very same night, we discovered that there were a number of students from Thomas Mufullo High School who were arrested. And some have been released, some have been used to ensure that other students are arrested. So it was just this thing of just arresting people, young people anyhow. Because of these other students were just students who had just lifetime. I'm not saying we were not involved in the struggle, but we were not in an active space that we were at. Because of, I want to say to South Africans and Africans that it doesn't mean that you didn't see me in the branch meeting. That doesn't mean I did not contributed in the struggle. You know? We've always, everybody's contributed in their own way. There were those who were brave enough to become leaders.
But behind
there
were people.
Yes.
You know.
For the fact that the elders in my community will say to me, wait until you grow up. My grandmother once told me something, which when I was writing a book, it was part of the book, but I removed it. When we started to create street committees, our own governance systems, outside the apartheid government system.
Creating your own borders and your own, making sure you control yourself.
Yes, there was Mdala, the Mkhulu, who was elected to be part of the street committee. His surname is Ntate Mahope. You know?
Ntate Mahope.
Mahope, yeah. My grandmother, then I went to that meeting and I gave a feedback. My grandmother said something that, yeah, I realized that we've got very powerful people in our community and we know nothing about them. She said, I think she spoke in Zulu. Bavuses Lene, which means that they are now revoking his activism. Then I said, Koko, what are you talking about? She said, yes. Mahopo Kipatuba Congolos, because of ANC was be called Congoloso by then, during their time in their 50s. So he'll make a feast like this.
Manja.
I said, so Ntate Mahopo always sit there. He will ask you, my boy, where are you going? I'm going to buy bread. Okay, here's money, bring me a newspaper. And you'll always listen to a radio station that you can't hear properly. And later we discovered that she was listening to Radio Freedom, the voice of the African National Congress in exile.
Oh, wow.
So
there was a radio that was transmitting, but because you didn't know,
yes,
something was always listening, but you didn't know.
But I was triggered by that. He'll always say, get the newspaper. If there are the old newspapers, I'll get from him and say, here's the newspaper, read. So you read newspapers and say, no, but Mkhulu, this thing is 4 days. He said, no, read. Information is important. You're not talking about events, current affairs. No, read. You learn something. Fine. That's what intrigues me in our community. Then we were arrested. I was 14 days solitary confinement, 16 years old. We spent 14 days in Protea. Of course, no visit. Nobody visited me. I think my grandmother brought clothes. I got them 2 days later. I was told that here's your things. Then we moved to Sun City Prison, which is Johannesburg Prison. We used to call it Sun City.
To get there, because of our time, we have 5 minutes. Ladies and gentlemen, you are listening to Monty, and the story. If you want to get a full story of how he lived his life in exile, like in prison, Sun City, whatever, wherever he has been, the real story, it is on 2 folds. We have the part 1 and the part 2. Please visit our YouTube channel where you see Unsung Heroes. Listen to the sound of this man, real person. This platform is just a breakfast show. We need to summarize because of time. Please, we are going to engage him more if we need to have him to continue. But now, I'm ending by asking you, by speaking to the African child. Your book, there's a page that writes, as in page 24, that says, Sun City is the University of Life. Please, as you are summarizing and greeting our audience, telling them, use that phrase that you used in the university, in the book, Solikaya. We must eat back home. We must eat from the pot that we were born, the pot that fed us when we were a child, when we were a family that we used to eat together. Please, the University of what? Life. Please summarize with that, and I believe management will give us another time. Listeners, thank you very much. It's Moti still speaking.
I coined that the University of Life because that's where we got more education, political education from classical to contemporary politics, to understand the role of government and governance and government, different types of governance and government systems. The difference between why do you have a bipolar type of a situation where you've got the West and the East, and then why are we called the third world? Others are calling the second, others are calling the third. I mean, the first, the second, and the third world. You know that the first world is this Western American, the second world is the former Eastern Bloc, Eastern Europe part, and then the global South was called the third world. We're taught about these things. The difference of political systems between the then Soviet Union and the United States of America, the Cubans.
Once were in prison.
Whilst were in prison.
That's why you call it the University
of Life.
Life.
So that's where my leadership acumen was actually solidified and intensified. That made me to understand why are we involved in the struggle. We learned about why is it important for the ANC and the liberation movement broadly to link up with other liberation movements in the continent and elsewhere in the world, so that we're able to build a better world for all of us, where all of us will be seen as human beings, as equal nations, be founded on sovereignty, so that no man must oppress another man. These things we learn in prison. Political science was there, economic science, managerial sciences, all the, I can say, the faculties of life were there in university. Also had an opportunity to continue through academic life in prison. Whilst we were in detention, when I was doing grade 8, I applied and I was registered, accepted, and a number of comrades there to study in prison. And you continued studying. So studying education was the center for our struggle to ensure that you cannot lead people if you're not a reader. You cannot lead people if you're not properly educated. You need some form of education. So that's the basis for our struggle. You must not only, even if when you understand politics, we must also balance them with academic life. We're not saying that people must get their PhDs and so forth, but have a qualification in life, so that you're also becoming a respected citizen in society. So that's the reason why I called it, I termed it in that phrase, because it was also at different sections. When we discuss religion, makes no mistake. We talk about the impact or the influence of religion in society, in our struggle. So if we've got pastors, the fathers of Anglican churches, we've got people of the Muslim faith, but we saw each other as humans. Yes, not as a Muslim, a Christian, a Zulu, a Tswana, no, a colored and Indian. We were seeing each other as humans. Hence we grew up in that sense together.
Wow.
So nobody was left out.
Mr. Monty, just the last one, just under 60 seconds, because I heard the jingle that my boss is singling me. What advice will you give to the youth now who celebrate Youth Day but doesn't know the meaning of Youth Day? Just under 60 seconds.
Every generation has, it must achieve its own, define and achieve its own mission. I'm paraphrasing somebody here. So the youth of today, of course, I think some they have a sense of what June 16 is, but the thing is how it has been celebrated. So the way we celebrate it, it actually defays, the meaning's actually going down. Because it's now an area where we belong, we sit, we drink and so forth, and then we dress in school uniforms. We forget that it should come up as an education. That's why it's a National Youth Day. It must also be educational. So to young people of today, my view is that let them continue the struggle, let them formulate their own struggle in different ways. They've got different platforms, different mechanisms to actually advance the struggle. Let them use TikTok as a way of rallying people around. Let them use all the social media platforms to organize and connect themselves to ensure that we build a prosperous country. South Africa and Africa must build its own economies. So the life of any country, whether we like it or not, is changed by young people.
If you are given the life to be the AU president, how do you want Africa to be under 60 seconds?
I mean, Africa in this case, first we need to unite amongst ourselves and see each other as brothers and sisters. and see others went through similar or same difficulties, and accept that we can only grow together and start to trade amongst ourselves, ensure that whatever products that we produced, at least they actually run within Africa before they go elsewhere, and especially in our currencies, so that we trade amongst ourselves first before we trade with other nations. I think that it's possible, it's doable, it's just a mindset, it needs willingness, and then we'll be able to ensure that Africa prosper.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's the Pan-Africa Breakfast Show. We have it's the Pan-Africa Breakfast Show, and then we streaming live on www.panafricaconnect.com. We end the show. Please, your messages are well accepted. We are going to go through, but we've run over the time. There's another show. That is Monty. Very soon we will update you about who Monty is in the spheres of Pan-Africa, because we are trying to lure him as part of the theme, and that is backdoor. It is your humble servant Abdullah, and remember what he said: if there is anything, if he's given a chance to be the president of AU, the chairman of the African Union, the one who controls the whole of Africa, he will tell you the Ubuntu life. Let's go back for it. This is Pan-Africa Connect, and I will always tell you by the former president Thabo Mbeki, I am an African, and I'm proud to be an African. It's a good morning. It was sponsored. Pan-Africa Breakfast Show was sponsored by Propco Holding Properties and Scented Rose Fragrances. It's your humble servant Abdullah, and I sign out for the next show to continue. I am an African. Good morning.
You're showing stuff.
This one is a different one.
No, this one is different.
No, but I love it.
People come here and
I love challenges.
after the show, they